The fog curled around the narrow road like a living memory, thick and slow, swallowing everything more than a few meters ahead. Dr. Oliver Miller drove in silence, his hands tight on the wheel, his eyes red-rimmed from nights without sleep. The GPS on his dashboard had stopped working hours ago. Now just a black screen with a blinking cursor, useless and somehow accusing. He knew this place, not from photos, from dreams. The asylum emerged from the mist without warning. A broken monolith of stone and silence, nestled in the ribs of the mountain, devoured by ivy and time. Its name, Saint, Amara Psychiatric Facility, was barely legible beneath layers of mold and weathering. A rusted gate stood half open, like a jaw unhinged. As he stepped out of the vehicle, the cold bit deeper than it should have. There was no wind, yet the air moved. Whispers, perhaps, brushing the back of his neck like the breath of something just behind. He entered the lobby through a door that groaned like it remembered pain. Inside, stillness. Peeling wallpaper, collapsed furniture, mold crawling across every surface, and silence so thick it rang in his ears. Then, a sound. A ticking clock. He turned to see it above the reception desk. 3:03. Tick, tick, tick. Then, nothing. The second hand froze. A manila folder slid from the desk, landing with a whisper at his feet. Oliver stared at it. His name was printed on the tab in faded type. Dr. Oliver Miller, admitted. October 7th, 2007. He hadn't even finished medical school in 2007. He opened the folder with numb fingers. Inside were pages, dozens, detailing sessions, observations, treatments, all describing him, emotions, nightmares, loops in memory. Temporal contamination? He'd written in his own handwriting. Except he'd never been here before. Behind him, the door creaked closed. He spun around. Nothing there. But he felt it now. The invisible wall. He was inside it. And something else was too. The night inside St. Amara was unnatural. Not merely dark, but thick. Like the very shadows were watching. Dr. Oliver Miller sat alone on a decaying cot in what might have once been a nurse's station. But the furniture had long since surrendered to mold and dust. He hadn't spoken aloud in hours, yet he felt like something was listening. He found an old radio. It was broken. Its antenna snapped, its dial rusted solid, but he turned it on anyway. White noise. Then, buried within the static, a voice, faint, female, familiar.
Oliver.
He froze. It wasn't just familiar, it was her, his wife, Claire, dead for over 6 years. He leaned in, knuckles pressed to his temples. Number? No, this is some neurological feedback, auditory hallucination, lack of REM sleep, just stress. The radio clicked off, on its own. In the silence that followed, Oliver's breath came fast and shallow. His chest tightened. He hadn't heard Claire's voice since that night. The night the drunk driver ran the red light. The night he buried his reason for living. Now her voice echoed in a place she'd never been. The next room held hospital beds, still stained. A child's drawing was taped to a rusted IV pole. Stick figures, a man, a woman, a little girl with pigtails, all holding hands. He turned away, his vision blurred. Another whisper. Not the radio this time, closer.
Daddy, Daddy!
His blood iced. He turned. Nothing. Just the pale green walls peeling like old skin. His daughter's voice. The one that never got to say goodbye. Oliver dropped to his knees, hands trembling. What is this place? He whispered. The lights flickered again. A hallway appeared where there had been only wall. Inside it, darkness moving, breathing, waiting. Whatever was here, it wasn't just mimicking sound. It was mimicking memory. And memories lie. He shouldn't have opened the door. The hallway, new, impossible, stretched longer than the building should have allowed. Oliver moved slowly, each step echoing twice, as if someone walked behind him, mimicking the rhythm. At the end, he found the records room. It was pristine. No mold, no rot. Everything filed, labeled, alive. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, flickering in a pulse like breathing. On the central desk, a reel-to-reel tape machine clicked on. No one touched it. A voice crackled from the speaker. Subject Miller reports another loop. This time, awareness occurred after the 6th iteration. Emotional distress increased, but compliance remained stable. His heart dropped. It was his voice, but not him. Not now. The file cabinet behind him slid open. A manila folder rose, pushed upward by unseen hands. It was labeled Patient Number 0607, Oliver Miller. Inside, photographs of him, in a straitjacket, screaming, laughing, crying, looping. Every one of them time-stamped differently, years apart. He staggered back. Papers fell around him like snow. Behind the desk, a mirror. But not a mirror. It didn't reflect him. It showed another Oliver, sitting where he now stood, head shaved, skin pale, eyes lifeless, whispering something over and over. Oliver leaned in. The doppelganger stopped moving, smiled, and mouthed, "You're not real either." He turned away, heart hammering, and ran into the corridor. Only now it wasn't empty. Figures lined the walls, shapes in hospital gowns, faces blurred, mouths agape in silent screams, all watching him. One stepped forward. It was him. Again, but older, bloodied, eyes wide with terror. "Don't listen to them," the older Oliver whispered. "You're in the wrong loop." What loop? But the figure was already fading, disintegrating like dust in a wind that didn't blow. Oliver collapsed to his knees. There were others, versions, fragments, and none of them had made it out. He woke up in the Jeep, engine off, fog still thick. St. Amara towering ahead. The clock on the dash, 3:03 p.m. His heartbeat accelerated. No. He had made it inside, found the tapes, the mirror. That was real, wasn't it? But his boots were clean. No dust, no mold. Again, he walked through the broken gate. Again, the silence swallowed him. Again, the air shifted as if the building exhaled in welcome. Inside, the same cigarette burning in the same ashtray. Same folder, same name. Only this time, when he reached for it, it burst into flame. No heat, just light, blinding and white. He blinked and was outside again, in the Jeep. 3:03. Again. Oliver screamed. He slammed the steering wheel, tore at the radio. Static. Then a voice.
Iteration 7 confirmed. Memory retention increasing. Personality degradation. 14%.
He stumbled out, weeping. "Stop it. Please, stop." But Amara waited, like it always had. He left notes, scratched into his arm, carved into trees, scribbled on walls.
Remember, you've been here before. Turn back. You die inside.
They never lasted. Each time he returned, they were gone. He tried burning the building. The fire consumed nothing. It licked the walls like a lover and vanished. He tried hanging himself. He awoke in the Jeep. He tried slitting his wrists. He awoke in the Jeep. Loop after loop after loop. Each time, things changed slightly. The fog was thicker, the corridor longer, the voices louder, the shadows more defined. And in every loop, he caught glimpses of them. The other Olivers, wandering, screaming, clawing at walls that weren't there. He left himself a final message, etched into the metal of the Jeep dashboard with trembling hands. "If you're reading this, you're not the original." He stared at it, And then the Jeep radio clicked on one last time.
Welcome back, Dr. Miller.
The world had grown quieter. Even the loop seemed tired, like the fabric of repetition was fraying at its edges. Oliver moved through the halls of St. Amara, without resistance now, not searching, not escaping, just existing. Every room felt like déjà vu folded over itself 100 times. Then he found it, a room behind a rusted panel, one he hadn't seen in any previous iteration. It was a therapy office, clean, preserved. On the desk, photographs of his family, Claire, Lily, smiling at a picnic, the same photo he kept in his wallet, except this one had a date scrawled in the corner. October 8th, 2007, the day after he was admitted. He opened a drawer. Inside were medical charts. His, every diagnosis, every failed treatment, every loop. Descriptions of delusions involving time fractures, presence mimicry, auditory hallucinations. Every note written in a clean, looping hand, he now recognized as his own. The voice behind him whispered,
You're not trapped here, Oliver.
He turned, and Claire stood in the doorway, whole, pale, eyes too knowing.
You brought yourself here.
Tears blurred his vision. You died, you and Lily. I saw the wreckage. She stepped closer, voice a whisper carried by fog.
You survived.
He stumbled back, chest heaving. Number, that's not true. You died. I watched them lower your casket. I screamed for days.
You created this place. Every loop, every wall. To forget.
She touched his temple gently. You built this asylum inside your grief. The floor trembled. The walls shimmered. And suddenly he saw it. Not the asylum, but a hospital. A real one. Machines. IVs, monitors. His own body in a bed. Catatonic. Surrounded by doctors. He was the patient. He had never left. Claire's voice broke, soft as ash.
You can wake up now. Or stay here with me forever.
He sat in the chair across from Claire. Everything had stilled. The asylum no longer breathed. No whispers, no loops, just stillness. Like the final moment before waking, or the final moment before death. Even the fog seemed suspended mid-air. Claire watched him with eyes not quite hers.
You built this because you couldn't live without us.
Her voice echoed in the quiet.
But you also couldn't live with us gone.
Oliver didn't answer. He couldn't. There were no words that could encapsulate what had broken inside him the night he lost them. So his mind had built a tomb, not for them, but for himself.
If you stay,
she said, standing slowly,
you'll forget again.
you'll start over. The Jeep, the gate, the folder, the whispers, the false hope, over and over and over. And if I leave, she smiled, then you live. He looked around. The office flickered, shifting between the therapy room and a sterile hospital ward. Machines pulsed faintly. He saw his own body, thinner, older, barely hanging on. Tears rolled down his face. What if I don't want either? Claire approached, resting her hand on his cheek. Her skin felt like memory, warm but insubstantial.
Then you'll stay in the silence forever.
He closed his eyes, breathed deep. The fog rolled in like a tide. When he opened them, he was in the Jeep, engine off, 3:03 p.m. St. Amara stood before him, identical in every way. But this time, he didn't move. He simply sat there and smiled. Not in joy, not in madness, in surrender. Inside the asylum, lights flickered once, then went out. Everything went still. No footsteps, no voices, no whispers, only silence. The kind that comes after the last page is read, after the last breath is taken. The kind that means nothing changes, or maybe it already has.